dividend. Demographic dividend. This is the basic. We can call this topic as a basic to all topics in India. Why? This topic is basic to all topics. Before going to give your answer, please listen to one thing. Okay? The Indian census, this is a well-known term. Even every man in India can understand. Every common man in India can understand what is census. Okay? Because it started in 1971. In 1872, the first census started in 1872. Then after that, in 1881, census is known as first census in India. That was the first census in India. In 1872, census is non-synchronized. Whereas 1881 onwards, it's a synchronized census have been going on India till now. Okay, the synchronized, non-synchronized is nothing but the enumerated this number of the population not simultaneously in various parts of the country. Whereas synchronized is nothing but simultaneous enumeration of the population across the nation on a single date. That is February in March months. Okay, single date, it is enumerated in a single day across the nation. Imagine that one. This is the largest administrative decadal exercise in the world. This is the Indian census is nothing but. Okay? It has been going on since 1891. Okay, unabated, continuously without any break. Just look at 1881. What is the situation in 1881? What was the situation in 1881? We were under the British rule. Okay, the British were faced very serious criticism about the drought, famine, millions of deaths. However, they conducted the 1881 census. Next, 1891, India still it was reeling under the severe drought and famines across the nation. Millions of the people were died. Okay, the colonial were at the peakest stage on the earth's surface, especially in India. India's famines were at the peakest stage in the history. 1880, 1891, they conducted this census. Next, 1901, the drought, famines and diseases started. 1911, what was? Okay, like COVID-19 diseases across the globe. Okay, 1921. Next, immediately Second World War started. 1914. 1921, it was conducted census. Immediately after the First World War. India's freedom movement reached to the peakest stage once because Gandhi entered into politics, Swadeshi, etc. However, the British were conducted the census in 1921. In 1931, the salt satyagraha, peakest stage of freedom movement in India. However, they conducted census. In 1941, do you know, that is amidst the Second World War. 1939 to 44, Second World War. Even amidst the Second World War also, the British conducted the census in 1941. In 1951, irrespective of the partition, this freedom movement, end of the British rule, whatever that was, the independent India conducted the 1951 census. Just constitution came into effect. India was facing severe trouble. However, it conducted the census. 1961, it conducted. Though it was faced the war situations and drought situation in 1961. 1971 war amidst the Indo-Bangladesh war. So lot of problems. However, it conducted 1981. 1981 is also not good. Immediately after the emergency, end of this coalition era. However, it conducted 1991 severe economic crisis in history of India itself. Immediately after the independence. However, it conducted 2001. It's a plain era, but no problem. Plain periods. 2001 conducted, 2011 it conducted, but 2021, okay, it is India stopped because severe lockdowns, serious lockdowns of the COVID-19. So since its inception, it has been contributing, okay, across the changing of the rollers, across the world wars, across the various situations, unprecedented situations. Why? Demographic dividend appears to be plain topic. It's not a plain topic. It is a profound topic, in-depth topic. In-depth analysis is there. Unless you understand it, you can't understand what is demographic dividend. It is the basic, it is like a constitution of India. This is the basic, the demographic dividend census is the basic for the administration. Remember, census is the basic for the administration, basic for the governance. Okay, whatever that in India, in the modern administration, whatever that administrative process, anything can start from the census absolutely. Why? Because without understanding the population, their distribution, like the labor force, etc., or any backward people, unto these downtrodden sections, women, children, etc., these are the basic things to take decision, to formulate policies, anything, even voting also. For democracy, voting is the basic thing. Voting, how can they? How many waters are there, where the waters are there, what kind of waters are there. This is the basic thing. For which census is important. Economic budgeting, for which census should be taken into account. Everything, no exception. No need to tell also. Each and everything, whether it is administrative process, whether it is economic, social, cultural, all dimensions of the humankind can be implemented properly and can be implemented only when you know the census. The things, various things related to census. That's the census is a basic. That's why despite having the various up and downs, whether it's any kind of rollers, it has been continuing the census in India. One of the oldest census in India, in the world, is Indian census, and highly effective census in India. Do you know what kind of census has happened in 2011? Around crores of the people involved in enumerating people. Of course, in 2021 it is deferred, but however it is happening in 2020 to 23 as a first digital census in India. It is happening this first digital census in India, for which the government of India spent around 3,500 crore rupees. 3,500, around $500 billion have spent. The government have been spending for this digital census. Now it is going on. Digital census, each and everything. What do you mean by census? What do you mean by census? Census is nothing but various things related to population of a country. Various things related to population of the study of various things related to population of a country. Various things. The simple thing is population size. Number one, population size. Size of a population. Size, distribution, size, population, size of a population, distribution, These are in sequential manner. First three things: size of the population, distribution, growth pattern. Growth pattern, that is also important compared to previous, and age structure. Age structure, occupational pattern. Age structure, occupational pattern, life expectancy, infant mortality rate, MMR, maternal mortality rate, urbanization, labor force, etc. and various other things. These things are very important for in the census. Census is nothing but the study of various things related to population of a country, in which the size of the population is more important. How much size is there? Next to distribution, where it is distributed across the territory of the nation. Next, growth pattern, whether it is growing or reducing compared to previous census. What the trend of the growth, that is also important. Next, age structure, that mostly the age structure is 0 to 15 years, 15 to 60, okay, 60, more than 60. This age is more important. This is what the pattern, mostly in India. Of course, it is 15 to 64 in some area, but don't worry. In India, it is 15 to 60. 0 to 15 years, okay, 15 to 60 years, more than 60 years age. This is the age pattern. Of course, it can be divided into two again, up to below 35. But however, this group is more important. This group is also more important. In a matured, democratic and matured countries like Western Europe, North America and Japan, etc., this age is very high compared to this one. Okay? This is reducing, this is increasing. Whereas in India, is young countries, remember, it is a young country, where this is rising swiftly, whereas it is reducing, it is increasing slowly. It is still rising, but less growth. However, it is swiftly increasing. It is also increasing. Understand? Because this is depends upon the TFR, total fertility rate. India is the total fertility rate is around 2. It's a replacement. India reached to replacement rate. So TFR, total fertility rate, is nothing but child births per a woman in India. It is around 2, 1.9991. It is recently entered. But however, 2, it is reached to replacement level. That's why children birth rate is reducing. That's why the child population is reducing. However, at the same time, earlier child is there, they are entering into this age group. That's why it is rapidly rising, 15 to 60 years. Whereas this is also rising because they are entering into this area. Because of life expectancy is rising because of the increasing health facilities and nutritional facilities. This is also rising. Okay. However, as far as the demographic dividend is concerned, we should talk about this one. Okay. So why should this is important? Why should this is a basic topic to all know? Because the population, the nature of the population is the base for every socio-economic, political, whatever the dimensions of a society, a country. That's why this is the basic topic. unless you understood the various things related to demography of a nation, you can't analyze anything. You can't describe anything. That's why this is the fundamental. So in other words, this topic is known as fundamental topic. Examiner cannot ignore it. That too at this moment. Okay. If we look at every country, all countries of the globe, just if you come across the various nations across the globe, simply you can understand what is the position of India. India is in an ideal position. It's not a better. It is an ideal position in order to reap the economic benefits. Okay? Historically, every nation has been passing through demographic dividend. Historically, as per the demographers, every country has been passing through demographic dividend. If India had passed this demographic dividend, this para, during the colonial era, it would have lost its situation. Now India, just in 2005, India entered into demographic dividend phase. Okay? It will last until 2050 to 2055. This is known as a demographic wind or demographic dividend. Okay? India entered into demographic dividend stage phase in 2005-2006. It will last until 2055 or 2050, which means around 50 years period India has been in demographic dividend phase. What is the significance of it? What do you mean by demographic dividend now? According to UNFPA, United Nations Population Fund, there is one kind of definition is there. However, you need not write exact definition, but every word is important. United Nations Population Fund, according to United Nations Population Fund, the demographic dividend is nothing but the change in the age structure of a country's population in a way to offer huge economic potential. Okay? The positive change in the age structure of a country's population in a way to offer enormous opportunities for the economic development. This is known as demographic dividend. Demographic dividend is nothing but the positive changes in the age structure of a country's population in a way to enhances the economic potential of that nation or offer the huge potential for the economic growth. This is known as demographic dividend. So in this definition, one thing is positive change in the age structure of a country. See, look at this one. So demographic dividend, age structure 15 to 60. In other words, increases the population within a age group of 15 to 60 years. 15 to 60 years. Or working population. This age group is known as working population. Right? Because of working population is increases, they will increases the economic opportunities. That's why this is known as demographic dividend. Look at this one. Demographic dividend. This is also known as demographic window. This is also known as demographic profit. The demographic profit, demographic window, or demographic dividend. or a demographic opportunity. Demographic opportunity. According to demographers, every nation has been passing through demographic dividend at one point of time. Okay? At one point of time. Every country. China has been passing through this demographic dividend already and completed demographic dividend. China has passed through this demographic dividend from 1980 to 2010 or 2015. So now aged population is increased in China. Now China's golden opportunity completed. This saga of the huge economic growth has ended in China. Of course it can maintain. Whereas in Japan, Japanese this demographic dividend 1964 to 2004. This is what Japan. This is what China. Okay. As far as India is concerned, according to United Nations Population Fund, it entered into 2005, 2006. It lost in between 2050 and 2055. This is the historic opportunity for the nation, for our nation, in order to rejuvenate itself. Rejuvenate means it can gain whatever it has lost during the colonial period. It has lost during the colonial period, it lost its glory. By the time Britishers entered into India, it accounts for around 25 to 30% of world GDP. Okay? By the time British left, its GDP is only 3% of the global GDP. It has lost everything during the British era. Now, by utilizing this demographic dividend, we can gain whatever we have lost during the British era. So this is the biggest opportunity to become superpower on the earth. India is an aspiring power now. Now India can become superpower. Nobody can stop it. Okay? This is what India's demographic dividend. You know, India, see, look at the China. Before going to study about India's demographic dividend, it is better to look at the China. What China has achieved during its demographic dividend period. So China started its economic reforms, coincided with its demographic dividend entered phase in 1979. In 1979, China has initiated economic reforms. Okay? Simultaneously, it is entered into demographic dividend phase. By taking the advantages from its huge demographic dividend, that's what the labor force in between the 15 to 60 years age group. Okay? It registered unprecedented GDP growth rate. Okay? In decades, its growth is unprecedentedly double digit. 15%, 4%, more than 10% always. Okay? Simply in 1979, do you know? In 1979, its GDP is only $1.1 trillion. $1 trillion in 1979. In 1991, its GDP is around that much only. Is in and around $1 trillion. But by the 2022, its GDP is $19 trillion. $19 trillion now GDP of the China. Its economic size or simply. So look at, by the end of this demographic dividend phase in China, okay, it becomes the second largest economy on the earth. However, it is going to, within 10 years, it is going to surpass US as well. So which means China has ideally utilized the demographic dividend which presents in its history. The same phase, the same opportunity is at before India. Yes, it is at before India. See, look at the economic growth rate pattern now. See, look at the world situation, global economic, global financial situation. Okay, post-COVID era. It is a post-COVID era. So every country is being suffered from the post-COVID repercussions. And also Russia-Ukraine war. That is also impacted every country. However, even amidst this global turbulent situation, financial turbulent situation, India is growing around 6 to 7% of GDP growth. So irrespective of these all negative factors, so India is emerged as the fastest growing economy. This is because of its demographic dividend, not because of any other thing. Because of demographic dividend, that is the first and foremost factor. Okay, it will be there, such kind of the trend of growth trend will continue. This vibrant, robust growth momentum India can continue in the coming decades until 2045 or until 2047. This is what the demographic dividend. Just to look at certain characteristics related to certain demographic dividend of India. If you come across such figures, we can understand what is the importance of this demographic dividend. What is the golden opportunity which is there before India. And another important question, before going to this one, I will tell you, this is the biggest warning for India as well. It is a boon if you have utilized. If it would become bane unless we have utilized it. It is a boon if you successfully utilize this demographic dividend. If it would become bane if you could not utilize this demographic dividend offered before India, present before India. According to population, this United Nations Population Fund and also India Census Commissioner, okay, in India, the working age population in India now, do you know how much? 62.5%. This is what 15 to 60 years age group population or working age population in India now is 62.5%. Okay, it will reach to peakest stage by 2030, in between 2035 and 2041. That is 65%. Which means in the coming 2 decades, it will be stable and also gradually increasing. The age population, 15 to 60 years age population or working population is 62.5% now. It will gradually increase, reach to peakest stage of 65% by 2000, in between 2035 and 2041. This is what the phase of demographic. Then it will decline and this demographic dividend will end, which means demographic window will end by 2055. Completely it will vanish. So during this period, India can become what it wants. That's what superpower. This working age population. The present, in terms of numbers, the workforce in India is 90 crore. 90 crore. The working age population in India at present is 90 crore. 90 crore. 90 crore population, imagine this, and another 100 million, another 10 crore population, 10 crore working population will add by 2030. So by 2030, India will have 100 crore working army. This is around, it would around 1/3 of the global workforce. 1/3 of the global workforce. 1/3 of the global workforce. Another important thing. The mean workforce, the mean age of Indian population. Indian population is just 28 years. Just 28 years. The mean age of Indian population is just 28 years. If it is China, the mean age is 37 years. In US, 40 years. In Western Europe, 45 years. Okay? If it is Japan, 49 years. That is mean age. It is also more important. Why should we study? Why should we compare India with other countries' mean age? Opportunity. So India in terms of demographic dividend, it is offering golden age. It is not only the thing. We can understand the significance of India's demographic dividend when you compare it with other nations. If you look at the globe, okay, Indian working age population is increasing rapidly. At the same time, the working age population is rapidly declining across the globe. So that you can understand the important opportunity for India now. So just look at the current affairs related to this demographic dividend. Recently, one Western European country came and signed an agreement with India in order to import, not to import the goods and services, to take the Indian workforce. Because in the countries, Scandinavian countries, the population is rapidly declining. They were in the depth of labor force. They need labor, so they came. Germany is discussing with India. Japanese is discussing with India, and India signed such agreements with around 12 countries so far. Many countries are in queue. India is in advantageous position. Just look at the NRIs. This is the discussion of NRIs now. If you calculate, total NRIs and PIOs combinedly, India's strength is 2.5 crore around. Both NRIs and PIOs. Total strength of Indians are 2.5 crore around. 2.5 crore. That is around 25 million Indians are in the foreign countries in the form of NRIs and PIOs. They are sending how much? Around $100 billion remittances, which is the largest in the world. Which is the largest in the world. These NRIs and PIOs, which includes US Vice President Kamala Harris, okay, Sunak, PIOs, British Prime Minister, so many politicians in Ireland, etc., etc., which include 60 of the Fortune 500 company CEOs. This NR, doctors, software engineers, technicians, scientists, which include 30% of scientists of the NASA. Doctors, not only software engineers. Look at the doctors. If the Indian doctors withdraw from the US, Canada and UK, their health systems will collapse. Such is the role of Indian doctors. Even Indian surveyors, do you know what they are doing related to software and hardware industries? But even in the healthcare sector also, and scientific scientists also, Nobel laureate professors, okay, yoga gurus and labor force. So out of this one there is a highly skilled, semi-skilled, unskilled, even semi-skilled mostly in this Gulf areas, unskilled mostly in the Gulf areas. So recently the World Football match took place in Qatar. The entire football stadium, that is a multi-billion